Welcome back.
It's been a minute, but we've not gone anywhere. We've just been busy. Busy.
Yeah, I've actually been asked in the last 48 hours by two different people, are you still doing the podcast? I was like, yeah, but it's just not as... we're not doing it every week for 2 years like we did originally or whenever it was.
We just don't have the time. Yeah.
No.
Which is a good thing in that, like, we're both moving on the journey, which is you're kind of flying up through TV land. You're making the steps. If you want to talk about what's going on there.
Well, I did a show already, and then I did a short with them as well. That short actually finished today. No, yesterday.
Oh, amazing.
So it's been online. It's been online now. Yeah. So I'm really, really happy about it.
So it's been online edited. So sound mix and
it's all done. Yeah. It's mad because I was saying to the producer of it, I was like, "This is mad. Like when you've actually got a proper company doing the post."
Yeah.
We shot it on the 15th of March, and as of recording this, it's now the 21st of May. So what's that? March, April. So in two months, we've done the post. Whereas if it was like the shorts I've been doing, like it's just me, that post has been going on. Like I think one of them, biology, took like 10 months.
Yeah. Because everyone's just trying to fit it in.
Yeah. Exactly. And then I'm working on something else as well. I'm on a different thing, which I can't speak too much about, but I'm on a different thing now as well.
So you directed your first episode of TV earlier this year. Like you finished directing it earlier this year. You were in the back of your last year as well, weren't you? And then the same production company asked you to do a short afterwards, which you went straight onto, and then now you've got your next gig.
Yes.
Amazing. How cool is that?
Pretty mad. It's surreal as well.
I think it's sick, man. I mean, the fact that we've like chronicled this journey as well, like from when we started this, we're just like, we've kind of done shorts and we're ready to break in. And then like, this is kind of proof that it's all possible. Like you didn't have an agent when we started this podcast. You didn't have an agent in the beginning of the second season either. Like,
no,
it's all just sort of happened. So, so there we go. All possible.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes people do still ask me like, what is the thing? And what is the way? What is the magic solution? And I was like, there isn't one. I think though, do you know one of the most important things I think is actually finding joy in other things and actually taking stock of your life. I think we spoke about this in the first of the season, season 3, about finding value in other things and not just sort of like the treadmill of the rat race. Not that it is a rat race, but you can make it that in your head. Yeah,
you can get lost in it. That's exactly it. Because I think me and you probably spoke about it separately. I'm not sure if we did it on podcast, but it was saying that like when you got your job, it was like, cool, now you've got your job, now what?
Yeah.
It's like your life outside of it is still the same. So like you've been chasing this thing and it's like, well, then you need to reconcile with like what your actual life is and are you happy with that or not? That's kind of the way, isn't it? Thankfully you are. But like it's one of those things, like a lot of people, they just put everything on this being the thing which is going to make them happy eventually, and then once you get that yes or that first break, then is it actually
it's
the
just
thing?
Because it's the only industry. I met up with one of my mates the other day for dinner. I've not seen him in a couple of years. He's not in the industry, and I was trying to explain to him like what it is, and he didn't understand it. He just thought, I said, this is the only career in the world that I know of where there isn't a pathway. You've got to basically find a path and dig a path with a spoon in your hand. I said, I said, everything else is a trajectory and there's a pathway, and that's why we kind of started the podcast, was because of that.
Yeah. So here we are. So that's amazing news. It's been
and what about you?
As well.
You're stepping forwards, doing
my thing. So I directed second unit on a TV show a few weeks back, which was cool. And alongside that, that went really well, by the way. Like producers were happy, director was really happy, and it was one of those, like all of the education that I've kind of had has just been leading up to that, so that I can meet that opportunity properly. I've been obviously cheering at the NFTS, doing lots of work there teaching the directors, which is amazing. So that I'm constantly like in prep or in production mode and dealing with lots of problems and seeing how a bunch, like 10 different directors are solving 10 different sets of problems constantly, as well as guiding them through it, which is great. And working on debut feature, which is moving rapidly, and having lots of meetings around that, which we'll have to speak about probably a bit later. But either way. As of right now, I'm like rewriting the script. That's where I'm at. I'm rewriting the script and having meetings.
Good.
So yeah, so everything's moving in the same way in which like you're kind of making your first steps in TV. I'm doing the first steps in features, and I think me and you are like a good mix of what the industry looks like. I think for a couple of up and comers, you being Northern, me being
we're a mixed case.
London, exactly. So we got all covered.
That's my favourite.
Yeah. So our episode today is with Liam White,
who has been getting numerous shouts since we've begun this podcast, and we finally thought, you know what, we need to get him on because he's getting a lot of free publicity.
It's actually annoying, isn't it? Like inadvertently, we'd always just seem to mention him in like multiple episodes, and he'd always kind of reach out, and to the point where we just stopped referencing by name and just alluding to who he is. Yeah. But yeah, we brought him on for a chat. This was last year. We recorded it live at Manchester Met Film School.
A year ago, I think it was. Yeah. I think it was April last year, or maybe it was April or May last year.
Yeah, so that's kind of been in the can waiting to be released, which is, to be honest, is a good chat. And off the back of it, I had a newfound respect for him, because clearly I didn't respect him beforehand.
No, you didn't respect him before, now you do. And I think some of that sort of like not respecting him was probably dampened when you noticed that he brought me a meat pie and didn't bring you one.
Oh, he did. He did. He brought some homemade pies and didn't think about the vegetarian in the room. But anyway, we'll let that slide. Still getting the shout outs. Remember this one. And yeah, I think for him it was just a really good chat. He's a really, really good writer, and so yeah, we'll let Liam tell you what he's been up to. And yeah, without further ado, here's Liam White.
Hello and welcome to the Director's Date podcast. We're at the Met Film School in Manchester today.
Yes.
Pretty fun.
Okay, so I'm going to go straight into Liam's biography here. So Liam White is a writer-director from Manchester. His previous works in short film land include Donut, a dark comedy exploring themes of guilt and morality, and Tick, 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 which won Best Comedy at Sunderland Short Film Festival. Most notably, his 2021 film, Punch Drunk, a thriller set in a Marseille cafe where a man's life is disrupted by an unexpected conversation, was longlisted for a BAFTA in 2022 and selected for prestigious festivals such as Raindance and Aesthetica. In 2024, Liam released his most recent short film, Housewarming, a psychological thriller about a new homeowner confronted by an uninvited guest. The film won Best UK Short at Raindance Film Festival and received a BAFTA nomination. I think that deserves a woo! Further cementing his reputation for creating suspenseful narratives. Also, I think Dame Judi Dench donated to your crowdfunder. Is that right?
Not in real life, no.
Oh, so was that
I was alive, yeah.
Right, okay. So you know how much research we've been doing then, right?
We've researched.
I couldn't corroborate. I was trying to find where that was. No. Anyway, a feature version of Punch Drunk is currently in development with Escape Plan, a production company behind Rose Glass's Saint Maud, and follow-up film Love Lies Bleeding with Kristen Stewart, and Out of Darkness. Liam actually didn't go to film school and has paid his bills over the last 12 years or so as a science teacher, often for young offenders and children with social, emotional and mental health needs. He's got a very interesting story and we're really thankful for having him in today. So welcome to the Director's Take podcast, Liam White.
Hello.
So Liam really is the embodiment of talent, getting you places, not necessarily who you know. And also, did you know that there's a film on IMDb called The Forgettable Life of Liam White?
I did, yeah, because someone pointed out to me, but I thought, just from a marketing point of view, you're telling people your film's crap.
Yeah.
It's a terrible type. I thought that no one would ever bring that up. It never set in.
Well, obviously, your life is not forgettable, and neither are your films. So in order to make work that is not forgettable, what is directing?
Oh, I should have thought about that, because you ask everyone. Directing, you've got to have a bird's eye view of everything, but simultaneously be able to zoom in to the micro and make decisions. And I think a lot of it is like being a conductor of an orchestra, just something I've never done. But you've got all the different musicians, and the violinists want to violin the shit out of the violins. The guy with the gong just wants to bash that. The percussion want to do that. And your job is kind of just, you have to see everything. And no, you're quiet in this bit. You come out here and then you get everything kind of in harmony. And it's the same director. You got the DOP and all of that, and the sound and everything, and it's trying to find that balance of the whole.
Great. So where did you actually learn filmmaking? Because I remember you sending me a script in 2023 called The Dark Side of Gangster Rap, which was from 2011. So when did you start?
So I've always kind of written. So when I was at college, I had to like work for my dad, man in the phone, in this like windowless warehouse office in Liverpool. And I wrote like this thing, how all my mates were going to die and the odds and all of that. And when I was a kid, I used to write stuff, and then did a chemistry degree. And to keep my creative juices going, I was just writing, because chemistry is really hard. And a lot of it was comedy based, but people were saying like, oh, you kind of write sketches, but they're like not quite sketches, because they got like real characters and there's something weird and dark going on behind it. And then I just carried on writing. And then I did a stage show with my mate, and we were going to have an intermission where there was going to be a film of the history of radio. And for that, I filmed something. I wrote like a fake history of radio, where it was like Prohibition, but radio. It was not that great. But I loved making it, and I've always loved film. I miss going to the video shop on a Friday night. Always loved it. And when I made that, I just wanted to make more. And then I made more, and I've just basically not stopped since.
And we touched on in your bio, and just then, that you didn't go to film school. You didn't study film in like a very intentional way. And yeah, like how did you go about finding your way into the industry and making films, and how did you go about learning constantly, and what made you think it was possible?
That's a good question. So it was purely, when I started off, it was purely for the love of it, and I just purely enjoyed making stuff. Loved writing stuff. I still do love writing stuff and making stuff. And then I started making a few films with a guy I worked with called Larry Katanga, who worked at the same school as me. And we were just making them and submitting them to like local film nights and stuff like that. And then what happened over time, like I always got nice feedback, but it was mainly like family and friends and work colleagues and stuff. But then what started happening over time, and people who I didn't know, or people who like were objective, who had no reason to say anything, start saying these are really good, you know. And as time went on, I mean, I always focused on, I didn't go film school, but I used to like religiously watch things like Every Frame of Painting and all those video essays, and like Why Is There Will Be Blood, a masterpiece, and cinematography and all of that and things like that. And why does this story work? Why does that matter? And I just took it really seriously in a way that I still, not taking the fun out of it, but like I just wanted to get better every single time, and I wanted to just make better and better films. And with each new one, I thought, right, the sound was awful on that last one, so I need to focus on sound, and a lot of trial and error, really. And then came a point where, like, I'd look at some of the people who'd done like a couple of shorts, and then they were directing a TV series or something, and then I'd look at the shorts, because I paid attention to credits and stuff, and then I'd look at the shorts and stuff and think, I can do that. And the imposter syndrome, not gone away, but alongside the imposter syndrome was like the rational part of my brain going like, yeah, you literally can do that. And I thought, it's just, I don't have any connections or anything, but it was just like, from like a skills point of view. And then with Tick, 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 that was the first script, I would say, where I thought, you know what, I think this is good enough to like have a proper like crack at it and submit to festivals and that. Didn't know a cameraman at the time. I actually didn't know sound recorders, had like no film crew. But that was kind of, from that point on, I kind of call that film number one, really. And the ones before it, I mean, you learn on every film, but the ones before it was like a raw training ground, whereas that, I consider that film number one.
I mean, that's important you say film number one, because you can go on people's IMDb's, people who are doing stuff, and you can see film number one, but you don't realise there's probably 10 years of hard work behind film number one. It's just the one which they used to like launch themselves, essentially.
Yeah.
Both me and Oz have done countless amount of things as well before the shorts that have sort of helped us get into the industry. So that's cool. And yeah, I think a lot of your early work as well, like they're all like written really well as well. That's really cool. Kind of doing, but yeah, like how did you kind of go about crafting, like learning to write in those very early stages as well? Because it feels like you've gone story first rather than sort of like craft first. That makes sense. Maybe.
Yeah, probably. And maybe in a way, maybe I shouldn't say this in film school, but maybe in a way because I didn't go to a film school, I was writing like just like following my nose for story and what sounds right, what feels right. I obviously watch a lot of film and TV, but like I looked at scripts online like for formatting and stuff like that. But really, like Donut, for example, when I wrote that, I wrote it and I thought, this doesn't feel structurally like anything else I've seen, but it makes sense to me. And it's kind of following that. And I didn't know any better. So like when I still use this technique now. So if I'm writing a scene, I will visualize either actors I know, like Judi Dench, or like people I know of, or people from my own life, and I'll picture them in the scene and then I'm like visualizing the scene, and I'm just writing it how they speak. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I've just found a way that works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important. And did you have a plan or like an end goal, end game with all this stuff when you were starting out earlier on? I've also got here, like, so you're a science teacher for like 13 years, you even still are.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's the plan on that front? Because I think when you got an agent, didn't you like quit your job? Is that true?
Sort of. So I got signed. So after Punch On got BAFTA longlisted, it got BAFTA longlisted in January, and
Which year?
2022. In December 2021, I was watching a series that's lauded. In fact, I'll just say it was Succession Series 3. Not saying I can write Succession Series 3 or whatever, but the way the dialogue, the way they were talking to each other, I thought, you know what? I could do that. I could be in a writer's room and I can write dialogue that's, because my style of dialogue is kind of naturalistic or whatever. So then I thought, you know what? I think I'm ready to like try and find agents. And that's when I started knocking on doors around Christmas time. And then the BAFTA longlist thing happened. That helped me, because a lot of it is like just getting ghosted. And then people are like, oh, hello. Do you know what I mean? And then when I got signed in May 22, and my agent said, right, don't quit your day job because it's going to take years. I went, okay. And then I went to the headmaster and said, I'm leaving. But basically, to clarify, so if you're a teacher on the payroll, because you get 13 weeks holiday a year, if something happens in term time, like your grandma dies, it's really hard to get time off when you go, I need it for a funeral in Bimbo, who's going to teach year 9. Mm. So what I didn't want was an opportunity to come up, and I'm like, I can't take it. I've got to teach year 8 about ionic bonding. So I thought, well, if I do supply, I'm effectively hired on a day-by-day basis. So like today, I don't have to ask permission to have today off. Just go, yeah, I'm not in Thursday, deal with it. Mm. And I'm on long-term supply because I'm a good science teacher and I can handle behaviour issues and stuff like that. And there's a shortage of science teachers because it's a terrible job. Like, there's no shortage of work. So, like the school I'm in now, I'm there till at least July. But should something take off, I've got that freedom to go. Whereas, like, the school where I was at when Punch On got BAFTA longlisted, I had to, like, ask permission because I needed the Monday off because it was screening in Bilbao on Sunday night. And people were saying, just phone in sick. I'm like, yeah, but what from Spain? And I was like, well, that's dodgy anyway. And then, like, if they phone back and they hear that with different dial tone,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, you were ill? Yeah, and I'll come back with a tan. And, do you know what I mean? I don't tan, but... So I just thought, I just didn't want to pass down something because I couldn't, do you know what I mean? So that's why. So I'm still a teacher, but like the way I look at it, like I'm on the teaching train and I'm just waiting for the train to kind of come up alongside, and then I'm going to jump.
Crash the other one.
Oh, and I'm trying not to fall underneath the wheels to get mangled up. That's what I'm doing, yeah. But
it is quite a hard transition, isn't it?
yeah.
Because it's like, especially, you've got kids.
Yeah.
You got family, and I think one of the things, especially for our audience, is that if you're doing anything above the line, whether it's writing, producing, directing, producing or whatever, you need something else, don't you, to be bringing bills in?
Yeah.
Because it takes a long, long time, and you can't think to yourself, I haven't earned money from that thing, so I'm not good. No, it doesn't mean that. It's just the way it's set up, and you have to kind of like understand that before you do it. So I came across you for the first time was at end of 2021, and it was when me and Marcus were actually on House of the Dragon. We were in the office at Warner, and I remember saying to Marcus, there's this filmmaker called Liam White, and he's a teacher. And I've watched his short, Punch Drunk and Donut, and I said to Marcus, I think you should watch him. And that film really blew you up, didn't it, Punch Drunk?
Yeah.
So I just want you to quickly summarise, like, you made that for next to nothing, and you made it in such a way you used whatever was around you.
Yeah.
And especially with my directing classes, I'm always banging on about use what's around you. So can you just talk about very quickly about like how you went about doing that?
Yeah, so that film that I described as film 1, Tick, 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 like, I still think the script, like, is a good, like a really good script. But luckily, I didn't realise how difficult it was to film when you literally don't know anyone, like a cameraman or whatever. But it had that just a burning desire and excitement to get it made. The problem was it took 6 years to get made, partly because, like you say, I'm working, like, I had to earn money to then pay for the next bit and all of that. And it's quite depressing. And there's a few other issues there, but like why it took so long. But about 4 years into it, and luckily I didn't know I still had 2 years before me writing it and coming online was almost 6 years to the day. And I watched this short film that was like one static shot of this old lady doing a monologue, and it was fine, but I watched it and I thought, oh my God, that must have been a piece of piss to film. And I'd been working on this short film for 4 years with literally nothing to show for it. So I thought, I need to do something logistically that is simple, that I can do it in a day, and I'll have a film. Like, I was a filmmaker who didn't have a film, do you know what I mean? And so I had that in mind, and I was like, right, okay, so it's a locked off shot. She was doing a monologue. Monologues I don't generally find believable, so I thought, okay, 2 characters, but I'm not going to cut to the other character because that would defy the point, the purpose of it. Okay, and this is something I use a lot when I'm writing, like, okay, if I'm an audience watching this and I'm not cutting to the other guy, how am I feeling watching this? Because I just want the camera to cut to the other guy. Probably anxious. The longer I delay that, the more anxious I feel. I thought, okay, the main character over the course of the film has to feel increasingly anxious. So when I write, I try and write that whatever emotional roller coaster or journey or arc the main character's going through, I try and use an audience member, you mimic that. So if they're scared, you're scared. If they're surprised, whatever. So I thought I need a story where the audience is feeling increasingly anxious. And then like the next day or day after, I had pretty much almost word for word what you see. It had a terrible title, but like it was the script was the same. And then from that, Donut came out as well, from this place of like just like really stripping it down to like minimal logistics, but like also telling a story that is worth an audience's time, which should be doing every time. But when I watch Tick, 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 that film 1, like I can see where the ambition exceeded the means of making it, and I can see parts of the film where it's tearing at the seams.
Yeah.
By doing a film like Punch Drunk, where it's literally just one shot, you can hide or mask your cinematic shortcomings. You can hide a lack of budget. It's lit well and it's well acted, you know, and that's one of the reasons it took me 2 years to then make Punch Drunk, because it took me 2 years to find the right 2 actors. But like you can hide a lot there. You haven't got the big budget, right? Well, as long as it's a gripping drama or it's funny or whatever, it's a good story, you know. Whereas if you haven't got the budget for a car chase, but the film's got a car chase in it, it's going to be reflected. Yeah. And on Housewarming as well, that's a similar sort of thing where, yeah, it's a bit bigger in scope, but it still all takes place in one location, and it's still stripping it back to, like, I've always been very pragmatic as a writer, so always trying to write things that like I could then make, and that's kind of, you know, because of all the other reasons, you know. So I haven't written loads of things like set in space or whatever, because if I can't make it, I don't want to write a script and I'm like, this is amazing, I'm never going to be able to make it. Do you know what I mean? So I've always been pragmatic in that way. Yeah. So then, so that was my approach for Punch Drunk, and it's kind of served me since, really. So I had to do Tick, 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 and in a weird way, it had to take a long time, and it had to be drawn out and fail in a lot of ways for me then to learn that lesson, that then, you know, where I am now.
Yeah. I think, if you've not seen it, definitely go and watch Punch Drunk, because it's one of those films. It's set in Marseille, shot in Manchester. Yeah, shot in Manchester. Like, it's something which can be done by any of you guys, I'm sure. Like, in terms of the resources available, like, it's just about the difficulty is like getting good actors and good, like a good story and good script. That's where the craft of it is, which hopefully Arshad is teaching you.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, when you're crafting these ideas, how much are you kind of thinking about tone at the conception stage? Like, I know you're talking about feeling and emotions, but how much are you thinking about, the overall tone of the piece?
So my process is like, so let's say I have an idea. So like Donut, for example, not a spoiler alert, but you know that game Never Have I Ever? I always forget how the way around it is, but I imagine someone saying, never have I ever killed someone. And like, I forget whether you drink or you don't drink, but they kill someone. And that was kind of like the kernel of the idea. So then I think, right, okay, that's a funny situation. Like, and then I think, what scenario would something best play out like that? So I think, okay, it's an adult comedy class. So they're all strangers, but it's supposed to be a supportive environment. So they're a bit nervous, but it's supposed to be a safe environment. And then I think about, and then I just follow like, right, logically, how would people react to that? And then before that moment is happening, like, what information do I need the audience to know? And what state of mind do I want them to be in for when that moment happens? Because in a lot of my stories, you settle into a sense of naturalism and then something terrible happens and it all kind of flies out. Punch Drunk, for example, he, it's, by the end, he's like, he's not sure if he's going to get killed or not. He's terrified and it's like the worst moment of his life. I thought it would be a nice contrast if that played out in a public space. Do you know what I mean? So I'm playing with the expectations. If he was like in a car park and a guy cornered him in a car park, very clearly straight away, that's, you know what? Do you know what I mean? Whereas I thought, well, it'd be more chilling if he's just having a nice day. And then, and almost like setting a challenge for himself. Can I take this nice environment? And by the end, so with tone, it kind of develops naturally. Like some films of mine have humor in them, some don't. Do you know what I mean? And I just follow what feels natural. I just write what feels natural for the story, really. And I kind of worry about genre or tone or things like that. That's the kind of like a secondary thing normally.
But it's good you're talking about location within where you're placing characters, because that does a lot to create a feeling.
Yeah.
As well as like the action, like how it juxtaposes each other.
Yeah, exactly.
The opportunities that opens up, which all contributes to the tone. So that's really interesting.
Yeah. It does play a big part in like where you're going to say, and again, be pragmatic. Do you know what I mean? But like Punch Drunk would be massively different if it was on a spaceship or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Or if it was down a dirt track at night, you're expecting something to. So it depends kind of like I like thinking about what the audience. I like putting myself in an audience position and not like being flippant with them, but like delaying. They think this is going to happen and then it doesn't. It's like in Donut, he says this terrible thing and they kind of wash over it and move on a bit. So I'm thinking as an audience, you're like, whoa, wait, what? And then I have a character literally like do that. We're in Punch Drunk. They think there's going to be a connection there and he's like, no, I don't know it. I think you have to keep going. Do you know what I mean? So I'm trying to think, or what am I thinking there? Is there a way of mining more out of that, milking it for more?
Yeah.
You've got a knack for writing really engaging dialogue. Where do you think this comes from, and how do you go about crafting this skill as a writer?
I don't know if I say this about myself, but when I speak to people who are in the industry, because I don't consider myself in the industry, they're like, you're a normal person. Who's like, a real person with a real job and real experience. So I guess it comes from that. But again, going back to what I said before, I kind of populate. So like, okay, we've got a situation for a scene or a story. And then I think I want to almost hide my beliefs within the film. And I think you create a better, more nuanced, more engaging film if an audience, like, you two watch it and you side with that character, but you side with that character. Or you think the protagonist handled that badly, but you're like, nah, because, and I like creating those like grey areas. It's not didactic. It's not, for want of a better word, propaganda. So I'll have like a situation and think, right, what opposing views would this create in people? And who do I know that's maybe like, would attack this head on or whatever? And then I populate that with people from my own life, or as I say, actors, And then for me, that I visualize these different people in it, and that just helps the cadence of the dialogue a little bit. I also like to say, all right, naturalistic sound of dialogue. So I will steal things from my own lines. Characters will correct themselves. You know, like in Donut, it goes, my Uncle Terry once auditioned. Well, he's not my Uncle Terry, he's my mum's uncle. We ought to call him Uncle Terry. Like, I have a Uncle Terry who's not actually my uncle, it's my mum's. Do you know what I mean? I add things like that. And what I try and do is, again, create a sense of naturalism. That's what I'm aiming for, so that they're like real sounding characters, but they're in a heightened situation. So my idea is that when it does kick off and it does fly off the handles in a weird way that feels like we've gone from Ken Loach to, I don't know, Michael Haneke or something. Do you know, it kind of flies off and it feels more fucked up when it happens. Yeah. Yeah, great. And so you get great performances from your actors in the films, which is obviously paramount. You've got good relationships with them as well. And in terms of moving actors around through space and like where you're going to place them and what the feeling that gives, what's your approach to blocking with your actors? Do you have a process? Do you have formulas? Or for most things, I kind of like, once I know what the location is, it's difficult to do if you don't know what the location is. But when I know roughly what the location is, I have quite a strong sense of like how it looks in my head. And again, that's dictated by, what I want the audience to feel. So I had call it an argument perhaps with a DOP many years ago, who had a different approach to shooting a scene to me. And we were walking through the street and we walked past a phone booth and he said, okay, there's a character in a phone booth. How are you going to shoot that? And I said, well, it depends what's happening in the scene, doesn't it? So if there's a guy in the phone booth and he's getting told that his wife and kids have been kidnapped and he'll get the money in 2 hours, they're going to get killed, I'd probably begin there with him, handheld, close up. This is all off the top of my head. But if he's in the phone booth, his wife's left him and she's taken the kids and he might not have to see him again, I might have it super wide. So like we've got loads of sky that's almost caving in on him, loads of negative space. He's at the side of the frame. So it depends so the story dictates how I visualize it. And then I kind of go, right, Barry there, Charlie there. And that's kind of how I do it. Don't get a lot of rehearsal in a short film, but for me, it's generally just talking to the actors about the script, going through subtext, getting them to ask questions. We kind of do like a dry reading and then they go, oh, when she says this bit here, blah, blah, blah. And then I talk through my rationale as a writer, like why that is. And, and then it kind of just sort of, it makes sense. Sometimes you get to set and the sun's over there and you have to change it up or whatever. But for most things, I generally have a very strong idea of how I want the frame to look. Sometimes I don't, and then it's nice to then go to the DOP or whatever, like, what are you thinking here? And I'll still ask people, like, what do you think? And nod my head and then do whatever I wanted to do.
So, you've got your own style, you've got your own voice, you're in your own lane, and I think that, a lot of your, like, reputation as a really good craft merchant is because you focus on, having that unique voice and your execution. Would you say that there's a conscious sort of like movement towards that when you're thinking about what to do next and creating your own voice, or is it just some of that natural? Is it just truthful, the work that you do?
I just write, correct me if I've not understood your question, I just kind of write what the Liam White doppelganger from a parallel universe will be sat there watching and going, bloody hell, that was amazing. And I just write what I would want to watch. And I seem to, because when I started off, people go, find your voice. And I think, what's my voice? And then I just write what I wanted to write. And then when I look back, I go, oh, there's quite similar themes here, or I've got a style.
Yeah.
I don't think of too much about what's my style. I just write the film that I want to make and make the film I would want to see. And that because I'm the one making it, it kind of fits in with the others, you know what I mean? That's my approach to it. It's not really a thinking of like, what's my image here? Or, someone said to me, a director said, I love the way you market yourself on Instagram. Like, market myself? This is me. I'm just a person. Do you know what I mean?
Just on that, he does have some really interesting posts about the sort of like turmoils in the journey of being a filmmaker. So it's not in marketing, but it works as marketing.
I was going to say, your market stuff really well.
But yeah, I don't think too much about what's my legacy, where am I, do you know what I mean? I just like, I want to keep making films. I want to make films that, you know, like I would be the wrong person to hire for like I don't know, Last of the Summer Wine or something, because they'd all be killing each other or...
Do you know what that is, Luke? Last of the Summer Wine. You seen it?
Let's think of something else. Horrid Henry then.
Right. All right.
But yeah, you know what I mean? So I don't think that I've got a style, I guess. But
the only reason I'm saying that is because obviously you're a writer director and obviously you write some of the stuff that you want to direct, but also I've read a script of yours where everyone's puking out bird seeds.
oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it started off with comedy and that, and I just wrote stuff that I thought I could make it, but it costs money to make films, and finding the crew, and there's only a finite amount of time, and you know, something tried to get that off the ground a few times, and had ideas of how that. I'm not sure I was totally sold on the ending of that, and normally for me, when I get a good ending, that's when I know that's the film I'm going to do, but that would have been and then as time goes on, I'm kind of like, well, that script you're talking about is like 10 years old now, and I'm like, maybe you're right in a way that I'm like, if someone said, I really want you to make CD, it was cool, wasn't it? And
CD, yeah.
yeah, and then and that was just a weird idea, and I just wrote it. So I was queuing up in Aldi, and I just saw a packet of birdseed, and I just had this image of this guy vomiting up birdseed. And then whilst I was waiting in the queue, I had this idea, it's like it was his party trick. Like, where's the birdseed come from? Did you eat any birdseed? It was weird, I didn't understand it, but I enjoyed writing it. And again, it's like somewhere between a sketch and a short, but it just never, I've written loads of stuff like that, just never, I love writing. And when I have an idea, sometimes I'll just write, I wrote a scene last year that was just set in a diner, and I was like, there's a guy and his boy, and he's like, his dad's a bit of like a Jack the Lad type thing, and then he goes up and he's like flirting with the waitress in front of his little kid, and then go out, and then the boy looks out the window and his dad's like getting like absolutely pressed to the ground by police, and I was like, I don't know what that is, I don't know what it's about, but I had that idea, and I was like, I'm just going to write it and just put it in a, do you know what I mean? I just love writing, and then some things take off, some things don't.
Great. Good.
There's a video, Liam making a Spanish omelette online. It's like a sketch, which you can find on YouTube.
Okay, so that was marketed. So that was a short film where I shouldn't have played it really, but I didn't know many actors. So it was a film of a celebrity chef making a Spanish omelette, but he can't stop referring to his ex-wife, and he has like a breakdown. And I'm the celebrity chef. I think I was too young to play it really, but I'm not good enough as an actor. But and then it's called Spanish Omelette, but we uploaded it as how to cook a Spanish omelette. So then it got loads of views, because literally people are like, I want to make Spanish omelette. How do you cook a Spanish omelette? Like, why is he crying? Why did he put wine in it? Got loads of hate. Like, my Spanish is better now, but I like copy and paste, put it in Google Translate. He's a culinary assassin. Stick to your pickle sandwiches, you stupid English man, and blah. I'm like, wow. And even what's funny about that is even people who clocked it was a parody would still be like, you don't put red wine in an omelette. I know it's a joke, but you don't do that. Well, yeah, it's
The point. But again, something you could all make with the reason.
Yeah, it costs like £10.
Yeah, it was all good fun. I'm going to ask this question about collaboration, so it feels important. So a director is nothing without their crew. Put here unless you're Sean Baker, apparently, so won 4 Oscars. Shouldn't throw shade at him, he's actually brilliant. But it's very important to find your tribe in this industry, I think. And you seem to have found yours in some like frequent collaborators that you have. So how important is that for you? And what are the sort of qualities that you look for in the people that you constantly collaborate with?
See, this has been the thing that I think as a writer director have had the most learning of. Don't know how much my writing has developed. I'm not saying I'm an amazing writer and I've always been or whatever, but like that collaboration side, because it's difficult if you have such a strong vision. Like, and sometimes I used to worry I was a control freak, because I'd be like, well, just do it like that, like I've said. But I think, like, so if we take housewarming, for example, like, I've had the biggest crew ever on a show, And what I did is that for each role, I thought I need to swing for the fences here. So like the composer for that, I told him what I wanted. I talked again about emotion of the story and things like that. And I kind of set the parameters of the sandbox and go, here's the sandbox, like you with your expertise, play in that and come back. Same with the sound designer, color grader. And I say, well, this is the vibe I'm going for. This is what I want. This is my idea. Do you know more about that than me? And then they go, yeah. And you have a chat with them and go, yeah, I like the sound of this. I love the rough cut. I love the script or whatever. And then they do something, come back, and I'm like, brilliant. I'm not there with the composer, like, saying, it should start in middle C, and it should have these notes. I go, you know, these are the kind of tracks of the vibe, like these John Carpenter ones or whatever. And this is where headspace she's at the end. And then he came back with someone else like, that's amazing, brilliant. And it was lovely experience in Housewarming because I had loads of those kind of collaborations. So I think the way I look at it is like, it's like you're doing a road trip. I'm going from Manchester to London. And then the collaborators, you're still going to head to London, but the collaborators go, you know what, there's a better service station here, or this route's going to take us 10 minutes longer, but the scenery is amazing. And that's the kind of, you're still doing the same journey, but you still got the same destination, but the journey's better and it's more, you know, the downside is if like someone grabs the wheel, like, oh, going to Edinburgh, and you're like, just, go on the wrong side of the motorway. But that's kind of how I've used collaboration. They've got to understand your vision. So you've got to somehow, you've got to have a vision, you've got to communicate it. They've got to be okay with that vision. And then, I see what you're doing. How about we do this? Where I think I've had regrets in the past, or there's still current regrets, but like, is where I've maybe ignored my gut, because in that keen interest to collaborate, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that's not quite right. But I'm like, yeah, okay, let's do that. Whereas now I'm like, I'd like to hope in the next thing, I'm like, nah, this is what we want. And I've had it on a couple of films where I'm making a different film to another key creative, perhaps, do you know what I mean, a producer or whatever. And it kind of ends up, they're all really valuable learning, I don't regret things in that regard, but you've got to have a vision, you've got to communicate it, and then just surround yourself with talented, if you can, talented people who are going to bring what you were unable to bring. But you're like, that's what I wanted. I didn't think about, but that's what I wanted.
Good.
Yeah.
Mo, do you want to just put that over screen on? And what is interesting about your work, I've seen films of yours that you have no one else has seen, or a few people have seen. Yeah. So it's like what you see out there, it might be the tip of the iceberg of that person's work. I was on about this to someone the other day about like Dr. Dre, like we've probably only ever seen like 5% of his actual catalogue. The 95% is probably his own for himself. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot. It's kind of like a lot of work. But I just want to talk about Pathway, right? Because this is a tweet, a post you put out in December 2022. Don't worry, it's not anything cancelled. And I want to read it out because it was from December 2022 and it's now March 2025. So you put, Punch Drunk and Donut got rejected by more festivals than they were accepted for. Punch Drunk is the one that got longlisted for a BAFTA. Donut did well as well. It got staff pick and a few other things. Yes, I'm signed, but I'm poorer than I've been for a long, long time and have not yet had more than one idea for a TV or film. Not found my groove, though it's early days, to be fair. I've been rejected for all the Talent Lab things that I've applied to, including one I was invited to an interview for. And I'd say well over 90% of the emails I've sent to agents of actors and filmmakers I ignored. About 5% are answered with a no. Still, I feel optimistic and my attitude is to plow on regardless, but to just post about wins and not the many, many failures that take up much of the daily life, as a director, frankly feels disingenuous. It's all part and parcel of it, and I don't feel an ounce of anger or bitterness. Get back on the horse. So this was December 2022, and I really liked, there's so much in there to unpack. We haven't got the time to do it. But if you fast forward like 18 months, which was probably October last year, you'd won Rain Dance, you had a feature in development with Escape Plan, and if you fast forward another 6 months after that,
BFI Network as well.
Yeah, you were on BFI Network, LFF, which is
the big talent lab in this country.
Yeah, and then you fast forward another 6 months, which is now, you were nominated for a BFA. So you've worked hard and things have happened, but the road to wins is highlighted and paved with so many failures. And, like especially for us and our audience, rejection, failure, feeling like shit, resilience. So how do you do it?
So I basically allow myself to wallow in it for about an hour and think, well, this is not helping anyone. So I always visualize it getting back on the horse, and I try and do something that's like a little win for me. Like, okay, so let's say I've been strung along by this actor for this role, and then the agent's gone, no, or whatever. Then okay, ping another email to that agent, or a different agent for another actor, or I do something else, or I watch a film, or I read something. Or the thing is, like, social media, I have a love-hate relationship. Well, love's strong words, but like, you kind of got to do it, is how I feel, because I'm hustling. But it's not a realistic portrayal of, like, you know, it's the iceberg, and then underneath is rejection and graft and setbacks and all of this sort of stuff. And sometimes, because, like, okay, Punch Drunk got BAFTA longlisted or whatever, but people go, yeah, you're flying now, you're doing amazing. Like literally, I'd get that text and it'd be like a kid throwing a chair across the room, and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm flying. Do you know what I mean? And people, I found, again, I'm not marketing myself, but like, I'm thinking, well, it's a bit disingenuous to go, look how great everything is. Like, yeah, there's some stuff that's great, but there's a lot that's, you know, not, and go, well, this is the reality. And I still get people saying, what have you got to complain about? And I don't go around complaining, but it's a long, winding, difficult road. And when I post stuff like that, I get messages from people like, thanks, mate. Like, people I'm not talking to is saying like that. I needed to read that at where I'm at. And then they've said the rejections they've had. And I'm like, you know, I'm sorry that you're going through that, but I'm glad, you know, that helped in a way. But it's kind of the reality of what it is. And we're all human. And, you know, there's no nepotism. There's no connections. All the connections I've got and everything I've learned, it's kind of been like from the ground up. And it's just, it does, and ultimately it just feels, if I'm just posting the highlights, that just feels disingenuous, you know what I mean? And again, it's no bitterness, you know, it's hard, but I'm not like, why is no one giving me a break? Why isn't, you know, it's just like, here we are. And we carry on. And that's why, you know, I get asked sometimes about that, and I say, well, like, if you just got your sights on the goal, whatever that goal is, like, you don't know what the length of space is between there and there, but you're just like enjoying what you're doing. And some days are better than others, but like, if you're enjoying what you're doing and enjoying the work, and like I say, I love writing stuff. I'm writing stuff. I love directing, but it costs more money, doesn't it? So I just like making stuff, and it's just like, take it as it comes. And now that I've got features in development, it's like the short film side of it, but it's even more existential and gargantuan, and the waiting times are longer. So you've got to be realistic. Like, okay, it's not happening overnight. It takes years to come overnight success or whatever. But just trying to take stock of, like, okay, there's some wins there. And I think, yeah, I don't know, maybe not supposed to do that, but I just kind of do what I do. See what happens.
Yeah, I think it's probably worth also just asking about how it's going post housewarming and things like that, like how you're finding navigating the feature space and all the meetings and generals and stuff. Kind of touched on it earlier.
Yeah, so like, when I got signed, I was then going into general meetings. Like I said before, I've been really pragmatic. So I started going into general meetings with production companies like Sky, Heyday, Film 4, whatever, and I would go in like, yeah, I've got nothing. Because before I got signed, I didn't even try and write a feature script, because I thought, literally, who is going to read a 120-page script? Like, who's Liam on it? Like, literally no one's going to read it. So it might be a nice exercise for me, but there's no point. Then I got signed, and I was like, all right, I need to come up with stuff. And it took me almost, again, to the day, a year to actually have an idea that was like, I think this is a feature. And what's been difficult on that side is just as I say, the length of time where you're waiting for feedback and stuff is elongated. The short film, you are God. Like, you can send your script out for notes and people go blah, blah, but at the end of the day, if you got the means to make it, you just make it. Whereas in the features, you go in and you got to write a script, then it's got to get ready. You wait months for feedback, and then these notes, and it's much more collaborative, but you're also dealing with people you've not built up relationships with perhaps over many years. You know, you go in a cold meeting or whatever, or maybe they met you for one general meeting, but you've not like worked side by side or whatever. It's important there, like, a shout out Anna Keeling, my producer on the Punch Drunk feature, like, again, finding your tribe and people who you got to click with, because it's a long slog.
Yeah.
And people who are get a fighty corner and a clever and talented or whatever else. And I've been lucky that, I have a feature in development and I've got 2 other ideas. But it's just, again, the length of time where, I believe it when I see it. And on short films, I never used to believe it was happening until all the actors are there on set and the crew is there. That's the only time I think, wow, this is actually, even Housewarming did a crowdfund for that, paid for the train tickets up, but only when we were there on set. It's like, I'm actually making the film now. And it's about applying, it's a hard one because you try and get, people read feature script about this script's amazing and we got to have these meetings. And you want to get, people say to me, that's really exciting. But I go, I can't, it's weird, I can't get excited yet because it's not happening yet. Do you know what I mean? So it's a weird sort of contradictory headspace to be in. So that's why, okay, shut out all of that, take it as it comes. And that's why I'm trying to have several projects on the go. So I'm not just sat watching Punch Drunk featured, it's doing, watching it. I watch Kettle Never Boils. I'm trying to have different things to distract myself with.
Takes the pressure off from the one project.
Yeah. All your eggs on
and slacked around. Yeah, exactly.
I know that some people have got to get off to lectures, but I've got this last bit. But has anyone got any questions thus far? Any questions?
Yeah. When you are writing and direct, how much do you think about your characters' psychology? How much think a man psychoanalysis framework?
I don't know if I think too academically about it, but I've got my situation. That's in the writing stage mainly, and then you get presented with a situation. So spoiler alert in Donut, a character says he's killed someone, as a nice part of an icebreaker of how to say things about yourself. And I think, well, if someone admitted that, how would people, bunch of strangers, react? So you got some people just going to pretend he didn't say that and we're just going to move on. But then I thought, well, someone would go, wait, you did what? And be more confrontational. So I just think about and this is why it's sometimes important. Vast majority of writing is not writing. And people who are writers, why are you just watching a film? Why are you walking? Pedro Almodovar, right? He does a lot of writing, walking around Madrid. And living life. And I just think, well, how would people react to that? And I don't have a psychology background per se, but I've encountered many weird and wonderful people and normal people over the years. So I just populate it with people I've met who would behave in that way. Why? I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So when you did Houseful,
did
you think that, I can't remember his name,
Barry Ward, the guy that knocks on. Yeah.
So did you try and walk and guess shoot?
Yeah, so I do that and I try. That's a good point actually. So even if, like I was sort of saying before, I try and mask my beliefs in the film. So obviously he's a reprehensible character in many ways, but when I'm writing him in a way that I'm him. So he's I'm desperate here. And when I was directing Barry on the set of it, he goes through different tones depending on where they are and what he wants from her. But afterwards I said to him, I imagine your character, he leaves here and he sees someone he used to know in the street and he's come on, I'll buy you a pint. And in the pub, your character's this fucking bitch, man. Was so and he feels like he's the victim. And that kind of headspace, which is horrible, do you know what I mean? And the reaction he gave us just then to that is perfect. And in Punch Drunk, I really tried to mask or hide my thoughts on it. And some people really side with the off-screen character who says some pretty violent stuff. And some people side with this guy and different people bring their own. But when I'm writing it, I'm in their head and as I'm writing them, they are right. And they are the center of their short film and justified. Otherwise, what you get is, and I had to give feedback. I didn't have to, but I did. A script someone sent me last year, and it was very clear what this writer's point of view was. It was about working class strife, and it's a valid theme and whatever. But I said everyone else kind of feels like a cipher in this script. It's very clear what your point of view is, which is fine, but no one else is convincing me, and they feel he feels real, but everyone else kind of feels like a caricature. I said, I think it would be better if, like, okay, write it. Can you put yourself in someone who's massively privileged and not had to face any difficult? Can you put it in that perspective? That's just my approach, and I find it makes it more engaging. Otherwise, it's didactic, really, and it's just a echo chamber.
Yeah.
You spoke a little bit about how important you think it is finding the right actors and getting right through the top of them. And you also spoke about how, as a director, you got to balance all of those different ends of the orchestra.
Yeah.
So how much do you center working with the actor, helping them find the beats and get that performance out of them? Do you see that as a central piece of what you're doing on the set? Would you think that's the actor's work while you've also got to kind of manage the logistics of the crew and the shot and everything else?
It's a great question. 100%. Like, so for me, the order of importance for me is like the script has got to be in place first. You can't polish a turd, basically. So the script's no good. It's like, it's a waste of everyone's time. So you got a good script. Then for me, the acting is the next important thing. So I go back to the phrase, a good story well told. People, cinema is always described as a visual medium, and it is, but sound is more important than the visuals, because it could look amazing, but if people can't hear it, they're going to switch it off within 30 seconds. I learned that the hard way. So the acting is important, and if I'm watching something and the acting is like clunky or whatever, or it brings me out, I don't want anything to bring me out of the story, basically. I want to get sucked into it. So for me, casting is key, and I think, right, who would be amazing for this role? And then I'll get my cast in place. And then what I like to do, it's difficult in a short film, but I do a rehearsal normally about 2 weeks before, ideally with as many of the cast there as possible, but sometimes that's not the case. And I've done it on a short where I had like individuals, like, and just, chatted with them for a bit. And it's not like, so on Punch Drunk, Barry Ward said, and the Ken Loach film he did, he said he doesn't like to rehearse it too much. He likes to keep the juice in the lemon, as Michael Shannon said, which sounds amazing. But like, if I'm getting operated on by a surgeon, I don't want a surgeon like, I'd rather keep the juice in the lemon, mate, see what happens. I want somebody who knows what they're doing. But what I normally do is just go through the script, and then things come out. That's not necessarily me dictating how they should perform it. But like on Punch Drunk, Corin, who plays the off-screen character, said, my character, he mentions his mum here, and then he never mentions her again, so shall we cut that line out? And I said, well, an omission is not a contradiction, so there's a point where he mentions his mum there, but then from then on, just referring to his dad. My dad thought that, my dad always said this, my dad that. So I said, the way I visualize it, not that an audience is going to get this necessarily watching it, but this tragedy has happened, and his mum and dad have reacted to it in two different ways, and he's followed his dad in this very toxic sort of traits, and he's almost inherited this like violent, toxic nature from his dad. His mum, the way I see it, she's capitulated, but he's gravitated to this burning hatred his dad's carrying. And that's, if you were to get that, that'd be insane if you got that from watching it. But that then he went, right, okay. And that kind of just feeds into how he's delivering the script. And I think it's important, if you can, to do that before you get to set, because there's so many things going on. I don't have time on set for people to go, right, my character here, do you know what I mean? Oh, sorry, mate, we've got to go in 2 minutes. So I try and do that beforehand. So by the time the actors come to set, they know the character. People have got their own lives, and it's normally about 2 weeks before, because they haven't looked at the scripts then, but then it's close enough for them to like ask you questions and then get it in their head. When they turn up, they know what they're doing. A good thing that I learned on Housewarming from just like a directing POV is like, on day one, we had a shot where she's clinking the Prosecco with a mate, and it's from the beginning of the film, it's really nice. And then because it was the same setup, we then had a shot which happens after the really traumatic event has just happened. So then the crew were like, right, then we're going to do this bit from here. And I was like, oh, wait, that's a totally different emotion, different part of the film, but totally different emotions there. So then I was like, I'm going to speak to the actress, because I don't know how quickly she's going to get to, and if it's going to take her 30 minutes, it's going to take 30 minutes. And because what I didn't want as well, I want everyone to feel like they can do the job well, but I didn't want you watching the film like, on some level not believing her response because we hadn't even shot that kitchen bit. Barry Ward, he arrived, he hadn't even arrived on set then. We shot that the following day. So then I spoke to her, she said, I'm going to need about 5-10 minutes. So what I realized is what makes sense, from a director, what makes sense from the logistics, it's the same setup. So we just shoot that, the happy scene, now we shoot the tearful scene. That might not be best for the actors. And she said, give me 5. And then she's like, right, okay. But that was a really useful lesson for me. And it just goes back to communication, I would say, of right, this is what I want. And she knew what headspace she needed to be in because I went down to London and rehearsed it with the 3 of them. She knew the headspace, but she's like, right, okay, just give me 5. And then, as a director, it's about trying to find that balance of okay, the DOP is saying the sun's going to be moving, so we need to do it. But at the same time, I don't want to be pulled out of the film because I prefer that feels off there. So it's really important to me, but that's something you can do before you get to set, I would say.
Yeah, that was interesting because a lot of that was schedule in terms of how you're working with actors, but it's like a schedule thing, which is a relationship with a first assistant director and being on top of that, because otherwise these are the sorts of things can just be put in place without you to get it done because it has to be done.
Sort of was, and ultimately as a director it falls on your shoulders, but
it's a problem you have to deal with on set.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to, if you can, just make stuff because you're like, that's a big thing I can avoid in future.
Yeah. Exactly that. You have a questions?
I'm very compelling on it. I really liked your motor analogy of collaboration.
Yeah.
Really. I was just interested in where you met your producer and where you meet your collaborators. So do you get involved in networking events or it's gone by word of mouth? The kind of how you found your
a bit of both. So this is why. So the producer Anna Keeley, she found out about me because there's a writer actor called Nathan Bryan, who when Punch Drunk came online, he retweeted it, and he's got loads of followers and that. And she was like, "Oh, I'll watch it. I trust his word." She really loved it. It was Liam White. Watched Donut, and then loved that, and then emailed me and said, "Can we have a meeting?" And I just got to know throughout. So, and a lot of it, as much as I hate social media, and I do, I can literally trace certain things to from people sharing stuff and people, and that's why I share with the people. If the short film's blown away or whatever, I share it. It doesn't cost anything, and I think if it helps someone out, brilliant. But used to go to networking things. Now I can't be bothered. But and I've met a lot of people there, and as I guess I've gone into general meetings now, I think word of mouth and things like that. So you have to kind of somehow put yourself out there, whether it's going to a networking thing or having a social media presence, which I feel sick just even saying that. But people have to know about you in some way. We go back before I got signed. Who's Liam White? Why would I read 120-page scripts? Draft one was actually 132, but anyway. But they didn't. Who is Liam White? Whereas now I can go into general meetings and people, oh, you did that? Okay, brilliant. You just got to get yourself out there somehow in a way that you don't feel you're degrading yourself.
Yeah.
So we're going to do this thing called hot takes, right? Okay. It's where we take all your tweets. No, we don't really. It's basically a filmmaker's hot take. So what is a hot take? It's a filmmaker's personal take on current thoughts and feelings surrounding their journey in the industry. So we're going to say the take to you and you've got to just answer it really, really quick.
Okay.
All right?
Cool. First one, hot take is you have to move to London.
Do I?
He's chunk.
No.
Second one, I'm too young to be taken seriously.
No. I'm sorry. No, I wouldn't. That's worrying too much about what other people think. Just didn't say what you say, and I know old people have said that shit. Do you know what I mean? So,
excuse my French. I can't get an agent. I must be shit. Should I give up?
Yes.
No.
So don't worry about what other people think. Just keep doing what you're doing. If you enjoy doing it, everything will fall into place, or it won't. But you enjoy it. That the journey is destination. Did Jesus say that? I don't know, but you know what I mean.
And if you want to compare yourself to Trill.
In Nazareth.
Second coming, Liam White. Just
You need money to make a good short film.
No, Donut costs £500. Punch Drunk costs 2,000. Obviously, that's a lot of money, but like it's achievable.
I need an agent to get my foot in the door.
It helps, but before you get an agent, like just find it. Like what we were saying before, find your tribe and network. You don't need money to make a short film. You need a good script.
I've got loads of festival rejections. The film has failed.
No, Housewarming, Biffa nominated, 90% rejection rate. Punch Drunk, BAFTA long list, 95% rejection rate.
Just say that again, please.
Housewarming, Biffa nominated, 90% rejection rate. Punch Drunk, BAFTA long list, 95% rejection rate.
Okay.
Here you go. Game.
Spanish Omelette, 100%. Yeah.
I should just go and make a film like Liam White's.
No, make your own film. Get off my land.
Is it any use to even keep making shorts? I'm not getting anywhere.
If you don't enjoy it, stop. If you enjoy it, carry on.
I've made a short and I want to make a feature.
All right. Write a script. It's like, I want to make a feature as well. But on that, I think sometimes shorts are looked down on. And I like to think that, I mean, I've got a short script I cannot let go of. And I always say, like, if someone gave me Chris Nolan budgets, I'd be like, can we parcel 20k off the side? Because there's this sci-fi film about grief I really would love to make, and I didn't have the money to do it before. So I'd be wary of anyone who's like, oh, I'm moving away from shorts, I just want to do this, or he looks sniffy about shorts. Yeah, be wary then. Beware.
Don't look down on shorts.
Don't look down on shorts, yeah.
And the last one is, I'm skint, I don't know anyone, I might as well just quit and get a real job.
Why do you have to give up on your dreams? You might have to get a real job because you need to eat, but don't give up on your dreams. That sounded really cheesy, didn't it?
That's a great end.
That's a great end.
There's dreams otherwise.
Well, Liam, it's been a pleasure. Been wanting to sit down with you since we started.
Oh, yeah.
And finally we have.
Thank you, darling.
And thank you, Robin and Milda, for facilitating this.
Film school.
You went easier on me than I thought. Was that because made you a pie and I bought you?
He made me a pie with his own hands and brought it. Because I had it on the.
I was on the set of Housewarming and the catering, my family to do the catering. Most of what you did the DIT upload, and you also just constantly eating meat and potato pie.
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? When they invite me on, that's when we can have a pie. Made it last night. It's at midnight.
So we are back. Welcome to the Director's Tate in Home in Manchester, which is an establishment that has a theatre and a cinema and everything attached. How are you doing?
I'm very good. The sun is shining. Got a nice chilled beverage.
Yes. We recorded a podcast with you about a year ago, which was in March 2025. A year's a long time in the world of filmmaking. When you're at the stage that you are, when you're starting out, a year's a fucking long time.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about an update about what's been going on this year.
A lot has happened. Everything's changed, but nothing has changed. I don't want to jinx it, but at the time we're speaking, it should be getting paid very soon, signing a contract to write another draft of the feature, which is would be the first legitimate kind of money on that, which we've been developing for 3 years, almost to the day actually.
And this is Punch Drunk.
Punch Drunk as a feature, yeah. And then fingers crossed, I'll be writing another draft of that, and then some revisions, and all being well, that would ideally get greenlit. I got selected for Screen Stars of Tomorrow.
Fantastic.
There was that. There's a short, I can't say too much about it, but I thought of and wrote a short with an actor in mind who'd been wanting to work with for a while, and he's keen, but we're trying to make that work. That would be amazing, but I don't want to say it out loud in case.
No, don't say it out loud.
And then there's another thing that I definitely can't say, but there's another short. I'm going to make another short this year, basically, unless I get assassinated.
So things are happening.
The thing that I struggle with at this stage, you go out and you make stuff, and then as the stuff gets better and more people are like, let's do something or whatever, there's just so much more waiting. That existential angst, the kind of what's happening, I'm waiting for people to redraft. That's the bit I'm struggling with now. But first world problem, and it's always shuffling in the right direction. Because I think I'm on the precipice of between being a science teacher and just being a writer and director. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, the way I was described is I'm on one train and I'm trying to jump to the other train without getting caught under the wheels, and they're just about lining up, but they're going 100 miles an hour and maybe 105 miles an hour, and we're kind of just at that.
And if we continue the metaphor, your films are your stunt team, so you've got some good stunt people around you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But I just don't want to like cause delays for everyone.
You've created a great wave of momentum. It's taken time, but you're BAFTA long-listed,
Yeah.
you're BIFA nominated,
Yeah.
Rain Dance winner, you're Screen International Star of Tomorrow, you're obviously signed to an agent, and there's stuff in the pipeline that's happening that we can't talk about that will definitely add to that wave of momentum as well. What's kept you kind of going?
First and foremost, I just love doing it. I just love writing and I love I love making films. And this is part of the trouble, is as the quality of my stuff is increased, I can't really just go out and with a one of the first films I shot was on an iPad. It looked and sounded terrible, but it was pure enthusiasm. But I can't really do stuff like that now.
But do you think also it's because your time is so precious?
Yeah, no, there's been scripts I've made, I started writing and think, no, I'm not happy with that. There's a film I shot, it's not good enough, it's not out there. And my time is so much more finite. That's really hones like what I can and can't do, but like utilising time and not wasting time. And it's weird, the momentum things, because I guess, on the outside, it does look like that. In this period of 3 years of development and feature, there's been one bit was like 7 months of waiting for a no. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't always feel like momentum to me. Really.
Do you want to share what you were doing last summer?
I'm a teacher, I'm a science teacher, but it's really hard to get time off as a teacher. Like even for a funeral during term time. So I do supply, so that should a film related thing come up, I don't ask for permission, I just say I'm not working Friday. So 6 weeks holidays, I can't get employment as a supply teacher because all the schools are shut. So last summer I was a GP receptionist, telling people there's no appointments for 2 weeks, which is funny because on the first day, this lad, he wasn't a lad anymore. He must have been in his late 20s. I can't remember his name, but I recognise his face. I taught him when he was like year 8, year 9. He didn't recognise me. Or maybe he did and he was embarrassed because what he handed over was a stool sample. And I thought, wow, this guy used to give me shit. Now he's literally giving me shit. I had to do it because couldn't afford not to, do you know what I mean? But also as well, I'm probably somewhere between middle class and with a bit of working class, a bit of a hybrid really. But you just got to love what you're doing. And I think if you kind of just got your eyes on the horizon about where you think you should be and what breaks you should have had or whatever, you're just going to go insane with the comparison between the present and the future. Whereas, I said this in an interview for something recently, Mads Mikkelsen apparently said like he just views he doesn't think about his career, he just views each job as it comes, and that is the most important thing, and he puts his all into it, and over time that builds up a career. And it's the same sort of thing where I think like, what stories excited me, or this would be great to do with this actor, or I've got an idea about this, and if you're just loving what you're doing and just trying to make it the best you can, the rest kind of takes care of itself. Years ago there was I was chatting to filmmakers, like this is about 10 years ago or something, and he's like, I don't want to be like 40 and I'm making shorts and my son's looking at me like, oh, you're making your little films. And I said, why would you not want to make short films if you're 40? Like, if you're embarrassed then, why are you not embarrassed now? And why would you be embarrassed anyway? Like, if you love what you're doing, who cares whether it's it's won a BAFTA or it's just shown at a local film night? Or I really think that's the wrong way of looking at it. Like, like let's say you take up painting, you don't have to like, oh, my painting's not in the Louvre. Do you know what I mean? I'm a failure. Just like, if you enjoy it,
but I think that if you have that mentality of what you've just said there, I think that you're in it for the wrong reasons anyway.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
If you're an artist, you should be in it that you just like to express yourself.
The reality is the bills need paying. So I've been making films, I'm writing stuff, and I love doing it, and it gives me a lot of creative fulfillment and all of that. My grandma was I think she was about 8 till she joined some sort of rock choir. She's not got any, ambitions of being a singer, but she just did it. Why not? I think you got to look for the fulfillment in it. And I get a lot of comments about like people think like, what's it like in the industry, or you're smashing it, or sometimes it's a little bit like, mate, I'm reading this text while I've just had bottoms at year 8. Do you know what I mean? Like,
So, how did you feel about getting the Screen International Star of Tomorrow? Did you get a photo taken and
I got a photo.
did you get made over?
I got a photo and they put that like near the bottom because obviously got all the glamorous, good-looking actors and actresses, and then they're like, "Oh, we have to put him somewhere." So I'm in the bottom corner. That was, I'll be honest with you, I can't point to where directly that has impacted me yet. It was amazing to be in that room surrounded by people, and I'm like, wow, this is a level of talent here. It felt amazing that people had looked through my CV and all my stuff and gone, yeah, you qualify for this. Do you know what I mean? The mistake I made there, I stayed in one of those, like, you know, there's like hotels, but it's like a pod. You sleep in like a coffin, basically. You don't have a room.
Like a pill.
Yeah, it was cheap. Like, I needed. That's why I did it. It was cheap. I had no money. The reception gig didn't pay very well, and it was in September. But yeah, there's like future Hollywood stars. And I was like, yeah, no. And I went back and I shuffled into this little thing, and I thought, you know, so you got to find ways to keep yourself humble.
That's amazing. Like, just as a parallel of the reality.
I climbed into this little coffin. Yeah.
The reality, the reality is.
No, it was amazing that, and like this thing that I can't mention, it's also amazing. The feature, I was invited down to London with these people that I can't mention, but like, and they were holding a meeting because I'd written something that had come from my imagination that was deemed good enough for these people to take an hour and a bit of their time.
Was it a Zoom or did you go in person?
No, I went in person.
And did you decide what you're going to wear, or did you just wear regular?
Well, I decided what I was going to wear. Well, I asked the Premier, we got an ironing board. Spent over an hour because the iron in the Premier was terrible.
Wow.
It's about 5 degrees. So I spent ages ironing this thing, right? And I wore a white t-shirt and this blue sort of thing. And there was no windows in there. It wasn't as bad as the coffin thing, but there was no windows in this Premier room. And I thought, I need to get breakfast. I should change, go out. And then I thought, I need to get out. So I thought, I'll be dead careful. White t-shirt, you know where this is going. I thought, I'll be dead careful. And the meeting, yeah. And just before I went into the meeting, I noticed I let stains go through me. I had tiny little stain there. And I was like, oh no. And my producer, Anna, was like, it's fine, you barely noticed it. I went, no, it goes through. So I went into this cafe, turned my t-shirt around, and then went into this meeting, and Anna was like looking, you could just sort of see, like, you know, like they have like a...
It was pushing up against you.
It was the wrong way round, obviously, it has like the little logo thing. You could maybe see it. So all through the meeting, I thought, oh my God.
Well, if they didn't remember...
The meeting went well, so from now on, every big meeting, maybe I've got to go in dressed back to front. Luckily, the table, it was big, serious, like, you know. They were far enough away, I don't think they clocked I was dressed backwards, but...
Do you want to mention the producer and production company it's with, or not? Because
so Anna Feely, Escape Plan, Oliver Castman. So I've been developing it with Anna for, you know, nearly 3 years now. And Oliver's like our guardian angel.
But we've had them on the podcast. We've had Oliver on the podcast before.
Yeah.
And Escape Plan Films are the same production company who did Rose Glass's feature, both features, Saint Maud.
And Love Lies Bleeding.
And Love Lies Bleeding as well. Yeah. So, you know, the fact that you're...
I mean, that was amazing in itself, that like, Anna's someone I wanted to work with, got on really well with her, and Oliver didn't know me, but obviously his body work speaks for itself, and he didn't know me at the time. And that, you know, when I've written the feature, that was like, wow, there's people who want to work on this with me. And
I think, though, the reason that when you do put your films out there, it's very strong in the voice that you've got, and that's something that's unique to you.
I just write the kind of films that I would want to see myself.
Yeah.
Like, the rest take
what's the difference between, because obviously you've been writing since fucking, I remember you sending me a script that had the date 2010 or something on it, that Fat Joe one.
Oh, yeah.
So
The Dark Side of Gangster.
Yeah. So you've been writing for so long. What's the difference been between you writing by yourself to now being in development? What's the biggest learning, and how has that affected your work in a good way?
It's not affected my approach, but now I'm taking on board other people's feedback, trying to please them, but also stay true to what I was trying to do with the script. And it's about navigating that, really. And obviously, the more you work with people, like me and Anna now have a shorthand, whereas before, you know, when you first start working with someone, you know, like, oh, yeah. But like, as relationships progress, and, you know, you can have that shorthand and not be too overthinking about things. But I still approach things in the same way, I guess. I've not analysed myself too much, to be honest with you, to answer that properly. but I still, an idea captures my imagination, and I'm just like, but now there's more people and more, not more talented, but more talented people involved that are, and experienced people that want to help me make it.
Did you meet Anna at that industry thing that we did a couple of years ago?
Nathan Bryan retweeted back when I was on Twitter, and it was called Twitter. When Punch Drunk came online, he retweeted it. She followed him and she watched it. She thought, wow, that's amazing. Then she watched Donut and she's like, who's this guy? And then she asked me for a Zoom. I said, yeah. And we got along really well and we stayed in touch. And then when I'd written the feature, I was lucky enough that by that point, I had some mad talented producers who were keen to read it and, have a conversation about it. And again, I was lucky enough, really, the ball was in my court in many ways. And it was me choosing someone rather than, necessarily me banging on doors. And I chose Anna for a multitude of reasons, but Anna was, I think, the best fit.
Great. One of the things that is a commonality through all that is that you've constantly been making and you've been trying to keep making.
I get an idea that grabs my brain and I want to make it. Do you know what I mean? I love just making stuff. Money has been the biggest barrier. Do you know what I mean? Like, if money was no object, I'd just be like, right, here we go. Let's get a team together. Love being on set. It's 3 years since I was on set. Feels like an age.
You've been really candid online about the work that you do, and you always do sort of like long blogs on your Instagram.
Yeah.
Why is that important?
It's because it just feels dishonest to just do the highlights and tell everyone everything's amazing, because it's not always amazing. And the highlights are often, certainly from a creative filmmaking point of view, few and far between. We're always getting rejections and knockbacks. You don't want to be bitter, do you know what I mean? And I'm not bitter, and you don't want to be slagging people off. I feel more drawn to just reflecting reality as it is rather than just the highlight reel. And sometimes as well, I think people find it useful because they read it like, oh wow, I'm going through that as well. I didn't know someone else was. And I've had messages like that and comments like that.
And you've always put work out without the expectation of something in return. You've just put work out.
Yeah,
you've not thought, I want a fucking BAFTA or I want this and I want that.
No, because that's the wrong way of doing it. I enjoy making them, and I hope obviously other people do too. I've been a teacher for 14 years now. The dream is that I can spend my days watching films, reading, writing, making stuff, and I'm paid to do what I love. The only reason I want that is because I'm spending more time doing it, and it's not and I'm able to do more rather than right, I need this accolade or that accolade. BAFTA long-listed, I have milked that for all it's worth, but that was a shock, and still is a shock when I think about the moment. And I'm glad Housewarming also was very successful, just for my own sanity's sake, that, okay, I've done it twice. If the next film I make doesn't reach any of them, that's fine. I won't, in my head, be thinking I'm regressing or whatever. But I wanted to prove with Housewarming, I kind of needed to prove I could do it on my own. So the fact that was also successful, I thought, right, okay. I put it out there, and what happens? I've heard many people they're really angry when they don't get onto a certain scheme, or their film didn't get BIFA nominated or whatever. I've heard some really angry. And it makes me think, those signs they have in the workplace, we do not tolerate abuse towards our staff. I'm thinking, who's abusing the staff at Greggs, really? Do you know what I mean? Or whatever, or the library, or... I just think you're looking at it the wrong way if you think the universe owes you something.
It's entitlement, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that way lies madness and heartbreak, to be honest with you. So just enjoy what you do, try your best, and don't be a knobhead.
I think that's a really good way to finish it there. So, yeah, and hopefully we will catch up with Liam again in the future. And we'll have amazing.
Where else can be a teacher? Yeah.
Or a receptionist. One thing will be true, whatever it is, you'll be making good quality stuff.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
All right, thanks.